right. Should be up and running here on both platforms, so we should be good to go. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for November 29th, 2021. Q's up 2.17%, SPY up 1.2%, IWM just about flat, down 0.08% there. All right, coming into today, we were bearish on the Qs and SPY, but we needed to see, and the IWM as well, but we needed to see what the sell setup would look like into the afternoon. So we went over this right at the open because we knew the market would be gapping up. Is that we basically got this wide range red bar, green bar to start this move, right? That's just similar to what a gap is doing, right? As we get a big kind of move up like that. Not exactly the same, but it is kind of a momentum move higher. So we want to see, is that going to hold? What is it going to do? And even if we weren't gapping up, we were going to be waiting to see into the afternoon what the sell setup or base breakdown looked like anyway. So it didn't really change much for the open. It was kind of going to be a wait and see anyway, even if we weren't having such a decent sized gap up. What I compared it to was last time that the market ended this hourly downtrend, we got a gap up to start things. Notice that this tried to come in the afternoon. If that had happened today, we would use today's high as our line in the sand. Once we take that out, we're no longer bearish and looking for the next move up to initiate the bullish bias. So in this case, we gapped up and then we took off right at the open. Now, the SPY did come in first and then negated that bar, okay? So while the SPY is looking more neutral here, okay, especially because of the daily had this base breakout and then failed underneath it, okay, and is now back in its resistance, SPY neutral for tomorrow. Q is looking pretty good, pretty bullish. Took out these last 3 days of trading here and doing a nice daily buy setup at the rising 20. So Q is showing relative strength to the bunch. So interestingly, going into tomorrow, we have a different bias for the Qs, for the SPY, and for the IWM. Okay, each one is different. IWM stays the same though, as we had coming into today. Okay, over today's high now is where we will no longer be bearish. A little bit more aggressively if you're looking for kind of when the IWM might kind of join the other two, and negating the bearish bias would be actually over this pivot here. That is a little bit of a sell setup, but I'm going to group all of these together just like this, as this is the range, so over today's high. Okay, on the IWM, it'll no longer be in an hourly downtrend. Okay, but this, as long as it stays below today's high, bearish still, neutral now on the SPY, and then Qs are bullish. So kind of different across all three. They're not extreme divergence on them. The larger time frames on all of them are varying degrees of neutral, like the IWM, to bullish, like the SPY and the Q. So the more that you zoom out, the more that they have in common. We're talking about short-term bias just for tomorrow morning on the Qs and SPY based on the hourly. Okay? All right, let's go over today's plays. Pretty typical for a Monday. Not a lot of gaps, not a lot of activity. Okay? But here's what I did. Started off with the LI. I like this gap a lot, clearing a lot of this base. I thought it had a chance to get to this resistance up here, up to 36.60, and maybe even beyond, because the weekly looks nice as well for higher. So I did play this LI, played it on a buy setup. You can see it highlighted right here, and was looking for this to break out the highs. Like I said, 36.60 I thought was a decent target as well. It would have been a pretty big play. It was up in R and then was not able to get through high of the day and then failed. You know, and I was aware. I was looking at it, you know, and I saw it go up there. I said, okay, you know, if you're in this, it is up in R, but I'm going to wait, okay, because I want bigger targets in this. But there weren't any to be had. Okay, and then it failed. And a lot of, I think, the maturation process as a trader is naturally you'll start to get better at picking the plays, and naturally you'll get better at management, especially if you're tracking your plays and you're seeing how they're playing out. That stuff, kind of comes with time. But I find one of the hardest things is kind of just taking responsibility. Okay, this is the decision I made. It was the best decision that I think, given the situation, and that decision ended up playing out so that ended up not working. So I ended up taking a loss on this, and really I'm okay with that. I think it's hard not to, especially early on in the trading process, to be like, oh, I should have taken this. I knew that there was resistance above. That's the difference between having a winning and a losing play. And then next time, say I run into this situation, and then I make some kind of decision based on just that last trade that couldn't get past the high of the day when I played a buy setup, and then I take it, and then it keeps on going, and then I think, oh, again, I made a bad decision. Why am I always choosing the wrong thing to do? Either I'm not taking it when it gives me the profit and then I give it back, or when I try to protect the profits, then it just keeps on going. It's that kind of dialogue, mental dialogue, I think, that makes it early on just a lot harder than it needs to be, right? And it's just, I'm going to get some wrong. I'm going to get some of the management not perfect, of course. And for me, I like the gap. It was one of my favorite gaps up this morning, one of my favorite gaps overall. And I was looking for bigger targets on this. So it couldn't get there on the LI, and I'm fine with that. This one I took while on the mic, and I, of course, said, that, okay, it's at the high of the day. I'm going to wait. I think it'll break through, and it clearly did not. But really, I'm not embarrassed by that at all. I thought the right decision to make, made it, and it ended up not playing out quite the way I thought. So, that's fine. That was the LI. That was the first play. Okay, and then there kind of wasn't a lot to do. It kind of took it easy after that. And then Sammy had the really nice call on the MRK. And we talked about this a couple times throughout the day, because what was nice about this was the relative weakness. Okay, market gapping up, and this was gapping down. Okay, so really nice play on the MRK. Management was really well done as well. Here it is. This base breakdown right here on the 5. Okay, he even did an add on it right here as a 1, 2, 3. 1 inside, another inside bar, and then underneath that stop above the inside bar. Okay, on the Merc. So that was really nice. Going into tomorrow, it's the same thing that we've been saying really since the end of earnings season, which is good gaps should be the focus. Okay, we had some really decent patterns here and there throughout the day. That's always going to be the case. Like the BERY, which I guess didn't trigger, but that one was actually cleared on the daily, so that's nice. Okay, this is okay to do. That one's cleared. Like this one, I know it was mentioned a few times. I even talked about it a little bit, but I said, the daily's just not good enough. The daily's not good enough. And while I like this as a breakout, I would play it on a better gap, right? I'm just going to have to let it go. You can see there, tried to get going and then came back in, took out the base by a little bit. And then even here in the afternoon, tried to go again here. You see breakout and not much follow through. And then just said it's an ADR and it's right into this topping tail, right into resistance. The gap's not that impressive. So some of these will work. One that I thought was probably not going to be good enough was the GDRX. Okay. GDRX, I didn't think, very small gap, and that one had a nice breakout. So some will work, but once we start to kind of lower our standards, start taking a lot of plays that we consider not good enough, it becomes a pretty slippery slope. Right? Then we kind of start taking plays just with the thought process that, well, what if it does work? Right? What it might work. And then, then we're kind of really gambling more than trading, right? We're just kind of just trying to see what works and throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, right? And that's not really what we're trying to do. Okay. Especially in this environment. If it were earnings season, we had a lot of good gaps, or the market was especially volatile or something like that. Okay, fine. Yeah. But not, I would say not for right now. All right. All right. That's going to do it for today's market wrap. Hope you had a nice day. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. Have a good evening.